Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to today's episode of Anna's Guide. I am Anna, your host, and today I'm guiding you through life from relationships to happiness to school to lifestyle challenges to growing up, which I'm still learning how to do. And today's episode is specifically a guide to traveling with your partner. And my partner travel stories are a little bit wild because I have not been romantically interested in anyone that I have not traveled with before. I think it's one of the greatest tests of time. It's a fun little lore of my relationship history. I think being able to travel with someone and stay in a hotel room together, or maybe not together, but like traveling with them at least the day of travel, then maybe exploring somewhere that you haven't been with them before, gives you a great insight to what kind of person they are on the inside, how they handle pressure, how they handle stress, how do they treat you under pressure and stress. These are all key elements, and traveling is such a small, minuscule part of what our world looks like when we have a long-term partner. But it can tell you a lot about them. So that's why I think it's super important, and today we're going to dive into it. It's also inspired by the fact that I just came home from a fun little travel weekend with my partner. Brew and I celebrated 3 years of dating, which is crazy. Wild. It feels like just yesterday we met, and so sometimes I think about that and I'm like, do I even know this man? But the truth is that I do, and I know that he knows me pretty well because his gifts slayed so hard. So we're gonna Rosebud Thorn, my trip that I just got back from. I'll disclaim it on the podcast. I didn't really tell anybody where I was going in the moment, but we went to the big island of Hawaii for 4 days just for a long weekend because thankfully LA is pretty close. It's a pretty quick flight, like 4.5, 5 hours. So you hop on an airplane, you end up in the tropics. It's the dream. We stayed at one of our favorite hotels on the island and had a bunch of activities. We went ziplining. We laid by the pool. I got sunburned. And that's my dream. I love getting sunburned. So I'm going to Rosebud Thorn that weekend for you guys, and also kind of like this week as it is, because it's going to be a fun, exciting week ahead of us for sure. My rose of the week, I'm not going to say is my trip because that's cheesy and like an obvious answer. My rose of this week was honestly just I love gift shopping. And so getting to go gift shopping for Brew, and also the fact that it's November 1st officially, and it feels even more like the holidays. I know our last episode, or I guess I know our November 1st episode was about the holidays, but these all get pre-recorded, as you can imagine. They're not being recorded live. So now it feels so much like Christmas, and I'm really excited to put my tree up. I'm really excited to be home for a little bit. But that gift giving for Brew over this past week just got me really excited for the holidays and brainstorming what I want for Christmas and what I'm thinking about. So yeah, that was definitely my rose, was getting to see him open the gifts and knowing that like I got him things that I knew that he would love is like, oh, great. And one of his gifts he kept getting complimented on. I got him a travel case for his golf clubs. I told you guys on an episode that I did like all the love languages. And so that was his act of service. And every person who saw that golf club case was like, this is really fancy. And I was like, I know. I did it myself. I built it from scratch. I molded that in injection molding. So with love. Now, my bud of this week is that I'm going to go see a friend. I'm going to go see Jo. I don't know if you guys know Jo Johnson Overby, but she lives in Arkansas, and Danielle and I are packing up this week, tomorrow morning actually, and going to Arkansas for a couple days to visit with her. I've never been to her house in Arkansas. She tells me that's so beautiful in the fall. So we're going to soak up our last little bit of fall that we have before we officially get fully into Christmas season with going to go visit Jo. And then my thorn of the week. Honestly, the flight home last night, the flights out of the island, I usually fly Delta, and there's like one flight that goes Delta that's direct to LA, and it takes off at 10 p.m. and lands at 4 in the morning. And that is what I was on last night. So that is the rest that I got last night. And I'm a little tired to be here, but I made it. Listen, I'll sleep tonight, and it'll be fine. I'm going to be fine. So that is my Rosebud Thorn of the week. If you get a chance to share it with your friend, share it with someone you love, say it to your cat for me if you would. I wish I was petting your cat right now. I wish I had a kitten. running around this house right now. I actually was mourning that a bit this morning. That could have also been my thorn today. For some reason, I was like doing my hair and I was like, it would be really nice to have an animal in this house. I'm very lonely when it's like just me in silence and like I can hear everything move and I'm like, what's going on? Anyway, back to your regularly scheduled program. Traveling with a partner is complicated because it opens the door for you to see versions of them that you have not expected to see before. Life is easy when you're both in the same place and in an area of comfort. When you're at your house, you know the space that you're in. You know what you want to do every day. You know the restaurants that you like. You know what you feel like eating. But when you're traveling, the amount of decision-making exhaustion that goes into traveling is crazy. And I just want to say that I think the greatest test of a relationship is knowing that you can travel well with your partner. I joked about this when the episode first opened, that I have traveled with every person of even slight interest. Okay? Let that sink in. I'm somebody who's always on the go, and I have no issue inviting people to come with me because it kind of makes sense too. I mean, knowing what kind of person they are, how helpful are they? Do they lift your bags over their head for you when you're getting into the main cabin? Do they help you? Do they take their time? Do they ditch you when they have TSA pre-check and you don't? Or do they come with you and have to take their laptop out of their bag? These are all major tests of a relationship. And I think it says a lot about the person that you're dating, depending on what they do. Now, I also don't think I've ever gotten the ick more than traveling with a partner because you kind of see all their weird quirks. Like, it's almost like living with them on a trial run. You're sharing a hotel room. Are they someone who unpacks their entire bag into the like compartments, or do they leave it in the suitcase on the ground? Do they separate their dirty clothes from their clean clothes when they're traveling? Like, I think about this constantly, and I have to say, I'm going to tell one story about it with someone that we know. Obviously, Brew and I, the first time we had ever hung out, traveled together. That was actually like the christening of our relationship, and the only time we had ever hung out solo, one-on-one, just the two of us, was a trip to Chicago. We were not on the same flight. We were not in the same hotel room. Okay? Take that with a grain of salt. Makes it easier. We didn't start in the same hotel room. I'll start there. Nothing happened on that trip. Also, don't look at me like that. It was just that we had both booked our own stuff separately, which I think is really great. As someone who travels independently a lot, I am very comfortable with having to just make my own plans, make my own schedule. And I'm going to tell you guys a little about my travel history when we get into the next portion of this episode. But so Brew and I traveled to Chicago. We had our own places, our own stays. But even the first night that we got there, I kind of got to get a little bit of a feel for how Brew acts under pressure because we had landed and gotten to the, we were going to Lollapalooza. So we had landed and gotten to the ticket check-in and they were already closed for the night. And Brew was responsible for both of our tickets. So when we got there and they're not open, we like could hear Miley Cyrus playing in the distance. And we were like, oh my gosh, we're like literally missing this concert and we can't get in. There's like no way to have tickets. Now, he could have reacted in several different ways. He could have called every person under the sun and like thrown a fit and been really upset and been like, oh my God, what the heck? Like, how do I do this? Or, you know, he could have gotten flustered. He could have gotten embarrassed. It could have been an ego thing that he like didn't have it planned out ahead enough of time to like have gone and gotten the tickets beforehand. So I didn't know what was going on in the sense of Lollapalooza. I was a +1. I was getting a free VIP ticket to the concert. I was not going to complain. I was just floating in the abyss. Whatever this man wanted to do was on. Did he want to send me back home? He could have. Okay? So I'm just following him around, and seeing how he acted under pressure in this moment was very enlightening because he actually was so chill. So cool, calm, and collected. He didn't waver. He's like, if it's okay, let's go for a little walk and see if we can find a couple other tents and just talk to some people. We went on a couple walks. No one was willing to help. We got nothing done. He called who he could from contacts. Nothing worked out. We stood against the fence and listened to like, I think we might have Cotton Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus. And then he's like, I mean, but the night's young. Do you want to go out to the bar? I know you don't drink, but like, let's go out. And just the two of us decided to make our own plan. Okay? We could have said that not getting into the concert was a complete wash. I was on his agenda. I was letting him take the reins. He could have just been like, oh, whatever, let's try again tomorrow. I'll see you in the morning. And let me be. But he did not. We went out to the bar. We went dancing. We went to like some crazy clubs in Chicago. We were not romantic. I had the best time dancing with him. He didn't make it awkward. He didn't make it weird. We have funny videos of us out together. There's all these cute moments that I have that are like even in that wasn't really, that was traveling together, not on a physical travel day, but it was kind of my first impression of him in how he acts under pressure while being in a different city. Also, by the way, he's never been to Chicago before. I grew up going to Chicago. I know the city very well. So like, I kind of just let him do whatever he thought was best because I didn't really want to take the reins on a trip that he had planned. But it said a lot about him. And I'm really happy that I got to learn about him in that way and kind of see how he navigates conflict and like didn't let it waver, didn't let him ruin his night. We're going to get into what I think about some of these other like experiences. And there are so many moments where you literally can have someone like absolutely have one bad thing ruin the whole day. And the fact that he wasn't that kind of person was an automatic green flag. Like the fact that we didn't get tickets was not the end of the world. We'd get them in the morning. Hey, meet me here at 8 a.m. and let's do it. He was so indifferent and it was like so refreshing. It was great. So that's a little peek into traveling with a partner and what I experienced with Brew. And for me, I grew up in a family that was so travel centric. My family loved to travel. From the beginning of time, as soon as my parents could afford it, we were going on adventures as kids with my mom and dad, no matter where they were. I mean, I feel like our introduction to traveling was camping in Michigan. We had bought like a little camper from like someone's neighbor in Michigan, the most Midwest thing you'll hear. And we would like take our camper and go up to Ludington State Park and go to Warren Dunes, and we'd go to Traverse City, and we'd go to Petoskey, and we'd, wherever we could take the camper and park it, we had our few favorite spots, and we'd go there for like 1 to 2 weeks in the summertime minimum, and like any weekend that we had free while my dad was like still working in corporate America. So also, a little bit of background, my parents is, my mom's from Poland and my dad was in the Navy. So even when they first met, they both were very travel-y people. Like my dad had been all over the world on the naval ship and my mom had come from another country. So they both had a lot of experiences traveling. My dad had a lot in South America. My mom had a lot, obviously, in Europe. So once they had kids, they kind of had a couple ideas of places to go and they had a bit of familiarity with travel. But I think what's really important about traveling and family and dynamics is that everybody plays a role on the travel day, okay? Especially in my family. The holidays can be a stressful time for everyone. Wrapping up work for the year and figuring out travel plans is as hard as it is. And there's also this extra pressure on yourself to have the perfect holiday. Instead of striving for perfection, try focusing on how you're feeling and what you need to make the holidays more enjoyable. If you need support, I know something that can help you prioritize yourself this season. Calm. Calm is the #1 app for sleep and meditation, giving you the power to calm your mind and change your life. Whether you're looking for a quick break from all the holiday socializing or a pick-me-up from your seasonal blues, Calm is exactly what you need to prioritize your mental health this holiday season. Calm offers a wide range of content and programs to help you navigate the holiday season's ups and downs, including grounding exercises, which, if you're feeling overwhelmed, these short guided sessions use sensation, movement, and breathwork to help you relax and reset, and expert-led talks to help you handle grief and improve self-esteem, care for your relationships, and more. Calm puts the tools you need right into your pocket and can help you dedicate just a few minutes each day to live a happier, healthier life. So stress less, sleep more, and live better with Calm. For listeners of our show, Calm is offering an exclusive offer of 40% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/AnnisGuide. Go to calm.com/AnnisGuide for 40% off unlimited access to Calm's entire library. That's calm.com/AnnisGuide. Even though my mom and dad are both very experienced in traveling, I often feel as though my dad takes the reins on the planning. He's the engineer, okay? He's strategizing. What's the latest moment we could get to the airport and still make the flight with checked bags, okay? That's my dad. Gets to the airport, checking the bags. He knows where the gate is. He somehow perfectly times it. The second we're walking up to the gate, they're calling our zone and we walk on the flight. There's like no gaps, no breaks, no breaths, okay? All in one go. He also is the kind of person who like has maneuvered, who has what credit cards that everybody has a pass to get into the lounge and get lunch whenever we have layovers. Like he's that kind of guy. Like he has everything dialed in and figured out. My mom, for sure, I feel like was like watching the kids, making sure we were fed, making sure nothing was left behind. Okay. But also like we all just kind of mindlessly followed our father. And I think that dynamic becomes a part of a relationship. Even when Brew and I first started dating, let me admit, I was definitely the person who was like, I am making the plan. I know how to do this. I've learned from my dad. I think my dad passed it along to the kids in my family. So me, my brother, my sister, all are the kind of people who are like, when it's a travel day, we have the reins in hand. We're ready to go. Which is why I think I'm really good at traveling alone, is because I learned that from a parent. And then now I know where to go to find a lounge. I know how to how to find out if an airport has a bathroom with a shower, if I have to get ready during a flight, if I have to do this during a flight, how do I book my tickets? How do I make sure my layovers are just long enough that if I'm landing in this airport where the, security is going to be, where I have to go through a second round of check-in, whatever. So all of that stuff, when I first met Brew, I had so much experience with that. I think when our relationship first began, I kind of took the reins on that. I was like, this is my job. I'm good at this. And I'm going to teach you everything that I know, just like my dad taught me everything that I know. So my family dynamic was just like that. Simple. My dad took the reins. My mom kind of kept the chill, control, and patience, talked him down when he was having a little bit of a heart attack. And that's also an important dynamic. When you're getting into a relationship, I want you to really think about this. You have the chance to reinvent what person you are on travel day. Okay? Despite my mom being one of the most independent, well-capable people, she got to be someone who was relaxed on travel day. Her job was vibes, okay? This Barbie's job is vibes on travel day. That's my mother. I would love to be that person. Me, my lack of control, must have control. That's not an option for me at this point in life. Enough therapy? Maybe. But the issue that we're facing is when you have the chance to reinvent yourself, you can choose to be with a partner who likes to be in control, and you can chill. You literally can chill on travel day. That's an option for you. So keep that in mind when you're searching out for a partner. If you want to travel the world with this person, are they experienced in traveling? And can they take the reins on a travel day and let you be the cute girlfriend who doesn't even have to touch her bags? Or cute boyfriend who doesn't have to touch his bags. Honestly, I feel like Brew was living the dream. We definitely had that dynamic where it was like in charge and puppy dog, when we first started dating. Now I think that we split the role a bit more evenly, but we kind of got it all figured out at the beginning. I made sure that he got his TSA pre-check. I made sure that I had enough vouchers to get access for him to the lounge every time we go, so we can always have food before. I know he likes his snacks. I can't let the man get hangry. I'm just making sure that everything flows without issues on a day of travel. But when you're meeting someone, you can choose to let them take over. And that kind of goes right into this idea of dynamics on a travel day. I do not think that two people who are also control freaks can date on a travel day. You will be fighting all day long, okay? Because you both are going to think that your way is the right way to travel. You can have two people who are chill AF, do not care about a thing, are so relaxed, are so just happy to be there, go with the flow. Maybe we get there early, maybe we run. I don't care. I'm just happy if my ass is in a seat by the time the plane is taken off. Great dynamic. You can have two of those people for sure and still get stuff done. I'm convinced that you can. I know some people might say you might need that control person, but I think if you have two responsible people who are chill, you can get away with it. I truly believe the best dynamic is one crazy person and one person who can talk them down, okay? Take a guess which one I am, okay? I think one person who is been planning this, double, triple checks their alarms before they fall asleep, make sure they have 17 set just in case, has an itinerary for when we get to the airport, when we're going through the check-in, how much longer will it take to do this, how much time do we have to eat, when do we start walking to the gate, how long are we going to stand outside the gate before they start calling our zone. That person, and someone who's just really happy to be there. The vibes, the Modka of the group, if you will. That's what you need, is someone who can balance out your really psychotic energy, because I do think that the travel day brings out a lot of stress in people. I mean, this is what I really want to touch on. Can you imagine being in line at your little security check-in and having someone yell at you and it's the person you're dating? I would leave them in the airport. I cannot. There's no way. I would rather skydive off the aircraft. I mean, that's what I think about. Is me into my notes. Hang on. Let me see what I wrote about this. Let me just double check this. This comes later, but I'm going to say it anyway right now. I would rather anything than be one of those couples that fights at the airport. I would take a bullet before I would be a couple that fights at the airport. First off, Modka's number one rule in my family, never wash your dirty laundry in public. Second, if my man is going to raise his voice at me in a public location, you better believe I'm booking a different flight and not putting him on it. There's no way. There's nothing. Okay, first off, I love the drama. So if I hear another couple, I'm eavesdropping. Second, there's no way though. Don't be that person at the airport. Everyone's uncomfortable. I am imagining these scenarios that I have of I just had a flight to New York and the couple behind me bickered the entire 6-hour flight to New York. I'm going to give you a peek into what they said. I'm sitting in my seat and I will admit, okay, this is going to come with my rules of travel. I'm a very fluid person on a travel day. Okay. I know that I'm joking in the beginning of this episode and even 3 minutes ago about being a super control person. I do worry about times and I have anxiety. Okay. But I also know there's only so much that you can control. If it's my fault that I didn't set my alarm for enough time to get up, that's a me problem. If my Uber ran late, that happens. We'll get to the airport, we'll figure it out. If my gate changes and now I have to run for 20 minutes, it happens. This was one of those days that something like that happened. We had all booked this flight to New York. I booked a super early in the morning flight because I didn't plan on sleeping the night before. I planned on sleeping on the airplane. I get to the airplane, they switched the aircraft, and it was no longer the seats that laid all the way down. Okay, I know. Trust me, that's not that big of a deal. Listen, I still had a great seat. I'm not complaining about that. I just had planned mentally to sleep. I'll sleep anywhere if I'm tired enough, but I was really excited to get to lay down and sleep. Okay, listen, I'm not that pressed about it. The couple behind me, so pressed. And not only pressed, I get it from one perspective where I'm like, okay, well, I just kind of hope that I do. This ticket was expensive. I kind of just hope I get my money back a little bit, or at least a little bit of miles or something for the fact that I'm not getting the seat that I thought I was going to get. Also, maybe I would have loved to sign up for not this airplane, but it is what it is. The couple behind me fought about the Wi-Fi the entire flight. I was losing my marbles. There was a point where I almost turned around and was like, can you two grow up? Please. The wife couldn't get the Wi-Fi window to pop up that let you put in your information to get the Wi-Fi, okay? And the husband would not stop correcting her. That would have driven me up the wall of the plane, okay? I would have been riding on the wing if someone talked to me the way he talked to her. He was just telling her, you're doing it wrong. You're not clicking this button right. Oh, you're not. Well, maybe it's just broken. Maybe you should just leave it be. And she wasn't she also was over him. She was very frustrated with the fact that her Wi-Fi wasn't working, which I can get. If you have something you gotta do, she you guys know how tight knit an airport is, an airplane is. It's 2 seats and 2 seats. It's a small plane. She literally would be like, well, some of us have to work, Steven. Okay, Barbara, pop off. Yes, but also then she ended up not getting it to work and then was just watching TV. I don't know. They ended up actually resetting the entire airplane's Wi-Fi for her because they were complaining so loud. And all of us in return lost Wi-Fi for the entire flight to New York. My Wi-Fi was perfect. But they had gotten so outraged and upset about their Wi-Fi, and they had bickered about it so much. Anyway, I don't know where the story is going. I would be anybody but them. They reset the whole Wi-Fi. This is so funny. Reset the whole Wi-Fi, and then everybody was forked. And we were all like, my Instagram was working perfect 3 minutes ago, and now I have nothing. And I'm not someone who watches movies on airplanes. I just I read my book. Honestly, I usually just read my Kindle my entire flight. So I wasn't that upset that my phone Wi-Fi went, but I kind of was just thinking to myself, was it worth it? Was it worth it? I don't think so. Anyway, Traveling dynamics. I think that like on a flight, traveling with someone who knows that you are on the same team is the most important part. When you're traveling, you are not against each other. Your end goal is to both end up in the same location. Okay? Take that as it is. It's not that deep. You could get upset about every little thing that goes wrong on a travel day because it's going to go wrong. Honestly, if there's anything I know, it's that it's not going to be a good day. I mean, sometimes it is. The good part of the day is that you get there. The part in the middle gets overwhelming. You get pulled from security, get the little private check thing. You know, they pull your bag because they thought your chapstick was too big. I don't know. But it's all the things. And if you're going to sit there with a partner, make sure you pick someone that you're willing to sit through the shitty stuff with, because that's who you're left stuck with when you have to stand there for an extra 15 minutes and like you're going to be in a bad mood. Date someone who's going to not put you in a bad mood on top of the bad mood that you're already in, or date someone who's not going to judge you for the bad mood that you're in. That's another thing. Sometimes it really is that it's just somebody who like gets that you're pissed off and just kind of is like, I just want to stand here with you even though you're mad. That's so nice. I also went a little bit into my background, and something interesting about my family too is that we still do a family trip every single year. Only recently has it been the norm to bring a partner with you. Usually it was not. And then until my sister got married, when she got married to George, we all started bringing partners on our family vacations because Elfina brought George. We were like, what if we brought our partners? So since the beginning, Brew has come with me on my family trips, and he's gotten to go to so many cool places. I feel like in our relationship, travel is an essential part of our relationship. We love going places together. I mean, we literally just came from somewhere. Prior to that, he was in Mexico. He was in Vegas. I was in New York. I went to Barcelona this summer. We did Paris for the Olympics. Like, a crucial part of our relationship is going places together and traveling well together. And it's been so fun to see him find the dynamic in my family's relationship of travel, because it's still the same. It's that my dad kind of like runs the show and has all the knowledge, and we all just kind of like follow him like puppy dogs. And I was always kind of curious like what it would be like bringing a partner traveling, because you are introducing someone to like my family's dynamic has been instilled since my childhood. Been the same, is the same. Like, even when I'm back with my parents traveling, I feel like a kid again. I'm like a child. They even treat us like children. Truthfully, I love our family vacations because I think when I travel alone, I have to be like worried and aware and stressed and focused and thinking about all the things that are changing and like what am I going to eat for food and what's going to happen here and how is this going to happen. On my family vacations, someone else is thinking about all of it. My sister actually is kind of like creeping up, I think, on my dad's level, where like she is really good at once we get somewhere. Like, my dad is still the travel day king. Once we get somewhere, though, Delphina, out of this world. She is a research professional in travel. It's actually unbelievable. She will find the best restaurants, the little nooks and crannies, the best coffee shops, the best beaches, where we need to go for like we'll be on like a random island that has like 2,000 residents, and she'll be like, okay, so there's a Michelin star restaurant behind this windowsill. And I'm like, how did you even find that? That's my sister in a nutshell. So even my family now is like growing in dynamics with the kids kind of taking on roles as we're different places. It's been really fun to see Brew fit into that dynamic. I'm kind of curious what he thinks about that dynamic. I'll have to ask him next time he comes on. I'll have to ask him about this on an episode. It's like, I wish I knew what it felt like for him to be introduced to that yet. I have not traveled with his family yet, I don't think. Now that I'm saying this out loud, I don't know that I've ever traveled with a partner's family. I'm really pondering this, and we're going to circle back. I think I've only traveled with my partners. Does that say anything about me? Someone call my therapist. It's giving control. Anyway, it's an interesting thing where I kind of like wonder how he feels about that dynamic and like kind of being introduced to family, but I don't think my family feels much different than when you're in my household to begin with. Also, my family isn't really a hotel family. They're an Airbnb family when we're traveling all together. Obviously, when we're all together, it's 8 people. So it's kind of hard to go for the hotel vibe. We always go for this more like house vibe, and we all get our own rooms and then have like a little area of the house that we can all kind of hang out together. The next trip that we have planned, that's my whole family, which I'm really excited about, is for the marathon. We're going to Honolulu because I'm running the Honolulu Marathon in December. And my family included Danielle, which is also super wholesome. So now I will have both Brew and Danielle with me, and then my mom, my dad, my brother on this trip. And it was really funny because I'm also kind of excited to see Danielle travel with my family. I feel like she kind of is like an honorary sister now to the family. Like my parents were like, by the way, we got a hotel room for Danielle, and we're like, okay. And my parents like, she would come, right? And we're like, yeah, for sure she'd come. And so my parents rented her space. So I think like my family's always kind of been like that in the travel sense, where they also strongly believe that travel says a lot about people, and they love people being included in the travel. I think that's why as a family we still go on trips every year, is because it's your chance to connect. You see how people are under pressure, and then you kind of get them vulnerable before they even know that they are. And that's what I think is really important about traveling with a partner and traveling with your family and seeing what they're like. It's exciting. You're seeing parts of them that you never knew existed. It's like your most vulnerable, stressed out, worrisome self. What more could you want? Okay, the last little segment that we're going to talk about is qualities that I think are valuable on a travel day between you and a partner. This is why. I think that there are so many elements that you should watch out for when you're with someone, because I do think that traveling with them and being able to travel well with them relates to having a strong relationship in the long run. Seeing someone react under pressure, seeing how someone treats you when they're stressed, and seeing how someone handles things that don't go their way, like, is pretty telling features to what kind of partner they're going to be. I mean, if you think a travel day is tough, imagine when life really gets hard. Okay? Imagine when like things are actually not going your way. Imagine when you have a falling out with someone that you love. Imagine when you guys have a kid and things are going your way, or like nothing in life, like your job doesn't work out, or things like that. All of those are different qualities that I think, this is silly to say, but I think traveling is just one element of pressure where you lack a lot of control, and in life itself, you also lack a lot of control. But traveling's like in a vacuum, you know? It's like the only thing you have to worry about that day is getting from point A to point B. All these things could go wrong. How do you feel about it? Guys, I have something so exciting that I have to tell you about. My entire family in the month of April is doing a triathlon in Hawaii. And when I say my entire family, I mean me, my brother, my boyfriend, my brother-in-law, his 2 siblings, and of course the whole family wants to come over and watch it with us. But how are we going to stay somewhere that can fit an entire family of 15 people for like a 3 to 4 day stay? And we want to have privacy and memories. We don't worry about being too loud or having to tame ourselves during such an exciting period of time before an Olympic length triathlon. So you want to know where we're staying? In an Airbnb. We have a private pool. We have our own dining area. My mom's cooking is going to be the only reason that I survive that amount of distance. I need a carbo load pronto. And thankfully, Airbnb comes in handy when it comes to having to bring all the family together and stay somewhere that feels like a true vacation. You get a more authentic stay. You get new destinations. You get to have extra privacy, and it includes with everybody getting to be together and having their own room in our Airbnb. So it's going to be a really exciting adventure, and I hope that you guys can see every little piece of it when it comes in April. But until then, don't forget that if you need something from Airbnb, that's the place to stay if you're looking for a super unique experience and a special spot for you and your family, whether it's during the holiday season or for any of your big things coming up. So the qualities I think are important. Number 1 is honesty, not communication. I think honesty is important because you could communicate all day long that you're like, I'm such a good traveler, I'm so chill, I'm so go with the flow, and then get to travel day and be like insane. Okay? I don't care who you think you are on travel day. I want the truth. I want your honest opinion of the kind of person you are, because then you can communicate. Like, actually, I'm somebody who gets like a little bit worked out if we're not waiting outside the gate 10 minutes before boarding. Like, if they're already boarding, I'm going to be worried that my bag's not going to get in one of the overhead compartments. And what if someone's in my seat and then they ask me to trade and I don't like confrontation, so then I say no? Okay. That's why I think I can joke so openly that I'm a little bit of a control freak, because I know that I kind of am. I joke about it because there's a little bit of truth in there. And I'm a fluid person with things that I can't control, not a fluid person with things that I can. If I know that I could have fixed it, I'm going to beat myself up about it. And that's just kind of who I am as a person. And being able to be self-aware of those things and say like, hey, I love you. I need like 2 hours before the flight or I'm going to lose my marbles. Or, hey, I love you. I know you don't have TSA. Listen, this is also a huge test of a relationship. I joke about this all the time because Brew and I, when we first started dating, he did not have TSA PreCheck and I did. And if you don't know what that is, it's just two separate lines to go through security. But TSA PreCheck doesn't have to take off your shoes or take your computers or cameras out of your bag, which obviously for me, someone who works from a phone, computer, and camera all day long, really saves the day. Like, I hate pulling that stuff out because I usually have it tucked really aggressively in pockets, and then it's like I have to undo my whole bag to put it all back in. It just saves me time and it makes me feel a little bit less stressed. So I've had TSA PreCheck since I was like literally 16. My mom and dad made me get it, but anyway, that's beside the point. Brew had only traveled a couple of times when I had first met him. He had actually never been out of the country when I first met him. And then he'd gone out of the country like pretty soon after we met. And then now we've been to like 8 countries together, which is crazy. But he, when we first met, didn't have it. And so I would actually give up going through TSA PreCheck and go through the normal line to be able to go with him. And I never got like a write-off. Like, you don't get to just not pull your stuff out from the normal line. You have to, even if you have TSA PreCheck, but you choose to go in the normal line. So I like would have to pull all my stuff out. Not that big of a deal. I get it. But I think that those little actions do make a difference in the long run, because I would rather have spent the travel day together than separate and me stand at the end of the line and wait for him to finish going through TSA or going through security. Okay? If you are someone who wants your partner to stay with you, even if they have TSA PreCheck, you have 2 options. Either get TSA PreCheck or tell them. Honestly. Don't be like, no, it's fine, and then resent them for not sticking around with you when they went through their own way because you said that it was fine. Honesty. Pass it on. Okay? That is my one little spiel about being honest on travel day, because Brew, I don't think it made a difference for him, truly. Maybe it did. I should ask him. That'd be a good question, actually. I don't think deep down it really made a difference, but it mattered to me that he knew that I wasn't going to abandon him on a travel day. Okay. Now, the next thing, something that I mentioned, flexibility and fluidity. There is very little that you can control on a travel day. Not everything you do is going to be your way and be perfect. If you're someone like me and you come from a background of traveling a lot, or maybe you travel often alone, you're very independent. You know exactly what time you need to get to the airport, what time you have to be going through security, how, like, I even know my parking garage that I really like, all these little things that play into the overall scheme of what your travel day looks like. Don't be afraid to change your independent ways and be willing to accommodate what works better for you as a unit, because you're no longer 2 people traveling. You are 1 person going to a new location. Don't feel the need to like tell people that their ideas are bad, or your partner, their ideas are bad, or the way they do it is wrong, just because it's not the way that you would do it. Maybe you'll learn something new. Who knows? Maybe they are wrong. Who knows? It could be anything. So I think that being fluid on those travel days and being willing to change just a little bit, okay? Rivers change slowly, okay? Have you seen the Grand Canyon? Hundreds of thousands of years. It's not going to happen overnight that your river's going to change its direction a little bit, or that it's going to like veer, but be willing to go with the flow a little bit, okay? I think we could be in control of like, hey, I don't want to get to the airport any later than this, but everything that happens from point A to point B might not be the same, and that's okay. Choose which girlfriend you want to be. Choose which boyfriend you want to be, and run with that. Be willing to like let loose on a few things, because it's just going to make your day enjoyable. Also with that, patience. They could be doing it wrong. Let them do it wrong and we'll talk about it later. Whatever. You know, I don't think anybody wants to be the people who get upset at each other in an airport. That was my final thing, is privacy. Is the final rule for why I think traveling with partners is important, is privacy. Fighting in public is ugly behavior and makes everyone uncomfortable. There is no disagreement worth having about the airport at the airport. If you didn't like they didn't lift your bags over their head for you, write it down in your notes app and come yell at them later when you're in the hotel room alone and you're like, you know what I mean? Like, I just think that getting angry at each other in an instant, my sister always tells me about this, like the 24-hour rule or the 72-hour rule or whatever it is. I mean, I probably need 72 hours because I lose my marbles over everything. But the 24-hour rule is like, if it doesn't bother you in 24 hours, it really wasn't that big of a deal in the moment. Don't let something small enough that wouldn't fit in the 24-hour rule like affect an entire day. this is silly. I'm going to use this. If Brew and I were dating for long term when Lollapalooza happened, okay? Obviously, I would never act like this super early in us dating. If I found out that he didn't plan it early enough to have the tickets, I could have gotten so, like, it's not really in my nature to have gotten mean, but I'm just using this as an example. I could have been like, wow, you didn't plan that ahead of time? Like, why wouldn't you have figured that out? Doesn't it seem like something, like, we obviously need that. Now we're going to miss the whole night. Like, I can't believe that you did that. That's so annoying that, like, you wouldn't have been planning farther ahead. Like, I flew all the way out here and, like, where were you? That sounds so mean. Oh my God. But we could have gotten in a disagreement over that singular topic. But was it worth it? No. Who would have benefited from one of us getting upset about that? No one. And on a travel day, I think if someone actually dogs you on a travel day, something I think that you can get upset about. I'm trying to think of a good example. Listen, I'm a little bit of an independent girly on this. It's not really hurting my feelings to lift my bag over my head. Do I love the chivalry? Yes. Would I ever lose my marbles over him not doing it once or twice? That's something that I would be like, can you put that up for me? If he hasn't already made the move too. I don't think that's that big of a deal. I'm trying to think of what's something that somebody would do? Actually, that's a great question. Let's hear from you guys. What's something that somebody would do that would actually be the worst thing on a travel day? Because I'm curious what you would think. So we're going to go right into answers. I asked you on my Instagram story, what is something that a partner would do on a travel day that's like the worst possible thing? And we were joking about actually horrible things that people could do on a travel day. I'm asking in more of a lighthearted way. Is that they don't lift the bag over their head? Is that they leave you in security to go through TSA pre-check? Is it that maybe they have a pass to get into the lounge and they leave you outside and say, how about you go find food and I'm going to go eat the free food up in the lounge? Okay, that would actually give me the ick. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think would be the worst thing that a partner could do on a travel day. So let's hear caller number 1.
Hi, Anna. Worst thing my husband has done on a travel day is somehow misplaced his passport right before we were about to go to Scotland for our honeymoon. That was fun. It totally set us back about an hour, but thankfully I also believe in getting to the airport an ungodly amount of time early.
Wow.
So all worked out.
Okay.
Thanks, love you, bye.
I love you. Wait, this is such a good point though. That's what I mean about like one person who's a planner and one person who's kind of go with the flow. I'm not putting judgment on your husband. He's giving go with the flow. Like, forgot the passport, but you were a planner. You knew to get there early. You knew you were going international. She's ahead of the game. And the fact that it only set you back an hour is actually really impressive. I feel like for me, forgetting the passport is such... Man, I think Brew actually did it recently. Now that I'm saying this, I think he might have forgotten it when he was going to Mexico last week, because in California, Mexico feels so close. Like, you don't really feel like you're going all that far. It's not like you're going over, like, the oceans, you know, like, either direction. So he's done that recently, and that's an easy one to forget. But once again, you could choose to lose your marbles on the person or solve the problem. And I'm going to go solve the problem. Okay, we got a call that's a little bit long, but I want to hear the whole thing, so let's do it.
Hi, so this is Chelsea. I was just calling in response to your travel day question. So I remember traveling with my ex and his family, and I could not see myself being with somebody who reacted in the way that his parents interacted with people. We were out of the country and in France, and I don't know if you're familiar with this feeling, but sometimes French people are not super nice to Americans. And so, you know, they made it a big show to, like, pull us over, go through our bags and whatnot. And his mother in particular was like, I want to speak to the manager. And the guy, the TSA agent or whoever it was basically like, I'm the manager. And she just kept, like, talking back, giving him attitude. You guys are being so over the top. This is so extra, like, just, you know, having an attitude with him the whole time. And he finally said, like, do you want to travel today? And I remember looking like, when he says you, does he mean like all of us or like just her? Because I cannot imagine being rude to the person that is in charge of whether you get to travel that day or not.
100%.
And then, you know, they actually banned us from taking that train that morning, and we had to end up buying tickets for a different time. So I just could not be with somebody as a partner who is rude to the people in charge of whether you get to travel or not. So it did work out. We did end up getting to where we needed to go, but that is my thoughts on the question. I hope you had a great recent trip, and I hope you found this situation as funny and, telling as much as I did. But I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thank you for listening.
No, thank you for calling. I would have been mortified. That's a perfect example. I don't think we realize or give enough credit to how many people, the TSA agents, the people working at the front desk of the Delta counters, the check-in counters, the bag drop counters, they see so many people every day. If someone is going to be rude to them, it's a no from me. That's like also major, major, major red flag. It does not matter how much attitude they're giving you. You have no idea who they dealt with before you got to them. Doesn't matter how nice you are. Give them the utmost grace. Also, like, they're going through your stuff because they're making sure that everyone's safe. I'm sorry. I, could not disagree more with, giving them, don't get me wrong. There's moments where they pull every single bag, and I'm kind of like, that's such a long wait, and there's only one person going. But I'm not mad at them. Do you know what I mean? My frustration is that it's this is a really close layover, and I know that, I'm good in that bag. It's probably for, one silly item, like a camera or, a chapstick or, a spritzy hand sanitizer that did me in or something. But, oh, Chelsea, I totally agree. I would have been mortified. That would have been it. Oh, my gosh, and you missed she had to book they got banned from that trip. Okay. Yep, that's the one. That'll do it. That's one that will definitely do it for me. All right, you guys, that's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for listening or watching. If you did over on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to today's episode and also the rest of them that come out as you get the video version over there. Also, you can rate this podcast everywhere that you get your podcasts or follow along at The Anna Guide on TikTok and Instagram for all of your podcast updates. Or you can follow me personally at Anna X Tatar. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I love traveling with partners, and I hope that you get to go on a vacation with yours very soon, especially with the holidays coming up. And I can't wait to hear your stories. So don't forget to give us a ring on our fan line at 323-433-0683 to give us all of your updates from traveling with a partner. I'd love to hear your stories, and maybe we have to do an Anna Answers very soon. I love you guys. Bye.